Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to show you the native build of Baldur's Gate 3 on the Steam Deck. This is my first time streaming with voice, so please don't be so mad if the audio quality is bad. So Baldur's Gate 3 got a native Steam Deck or Linux version with hotfix number 34, which was around 3 days ago, and they said that it should improve performance overall with more stable frame rate, a lower loading time, smoother gameplay. Previously the game was running via Valve's compatibility layer Proton, but now it seems like Larian decided that they can get better performance with native. And I tried getting it to work on the Steam Deck, but let's just say it wasn't very successful. This is my Steam Deck LCD. I'm in the stable channel. I don't have any plugins or decky. 3715 is basically from today or yesterday. Stable kernel. The regular hardware that you'd expect. Mesa 24. And in order to get the native version, opposed to Proton, you have to uncheck the force the use of a specific Steam Play compatibility tool option, and then it should choose the Steam Linux Runtime 3.0 Sniper, and then you will have to download an update because the native version has some different files than Proton. Alright, let's check it out. This is being recorded using a capture card, by the way, so there is no penalty from any streaming overhead or recording overhead. And I already have a first problem. I can't get into the game because for some reason the game doesn't recognize that I'm pressing the A button on my DualSense. Sorry, DualShock 4. I've got it set to the regular gamepad layout, but I tried a couple of these and none of them actually seem to work. The only thing that works is pressing the button A directly on the Steam Deck, but I can't even navigate the menu with my DualShock for some reason. And I think changing controller order fixes this, but still this is not a problem that should exist really. Yeah, so you might have noticed that there's no performance overlay, and that's the next problem actually. When you try to enable in the game, it will flicker and vanish and come back, and eventually it will just be gone completely, erased from existence. So yeah, that's the second problem. They promised that the native version would have better performance than that, but It seems like we're not even able to see the performance of the native build because no performance overlay even works with it. Let me just hit continue. Actually, rearrange. For some reason, when you put the DualShock 4 beneath the Steam Deck controller, then it suddenly works in the game. Like, what is this even? I'm using the default Steam Deck settings, 720p, 60, triple buffering, FSR1 on quality, TAA, and so on. Look how bad the Mango HUD is crashing. Wow, that's that's crazy. I think now it's just crashed completely, and it won't come back after it's completely crashed from my experience. And I'm also not the only one with this problem. I asked in the Baldur's Gate 3 Discord server, and a lot of people are having the same problem actually. It probably will not look very good in this recording because this is being upscaled from 720p to 1080p. So that's the original size. And also in-game it's using FSR1, and GameScope is also using FSR1, so it's upscaling the upscaling, so to speak. So yeah, I'm really not sure how it performs because there's no overlay at all. Let's go out of the game again. Fix the controller order. Where is it? Anyways, yeah, Mango HUD is now, the performance overlay is called Mango HUD, by the way. It's now gone completely. Even if you enable performance overlay in Steam, which would normally show the Mango HUD at the top left corner of the screen, it just won't appear anymore because it's crashed so badly that yeah, that it doesn't come back. And even if you launch maybe not this one. This one? Oh, dang it. Even if you launch like another game where Mango HUD is supposed to appear, it just doesn't anymore. It's just presumably angry that Baldur's Gate 3 is having made it crash, and now it wants to tell you that it doesn't come back because it's angry or something. And as you can see, there's no overlay, like, at all.
Hey everybody, it's Roger
No,
Greenstein, voice of Kyle Crane. The moment
go
we've
away.
all been waiting for is almost here. All of us feel the...
Yes, I want to quit. The only way that I know of to get the overlay back is to do a complete restart of the Steam Deck. Once it's crashed so badly that it doesn't even appear anymore. And by the way, I tried with the DualShock 4, not via Bluetooth, but via USB, and it's the same problem exactly. It doesn't have anything to do with Bluetooth. Oh, there it is. As you can see, Mango Hut is back on the menu and it's working again after a restart. So yeah, once you have launched it with Mango Hut, the performance overlay, the Mango Hut will crash and will not appear in any other game after that point. So that's pretty bad. So then I thought maybe it has something to do with game scope. Like when you load the Steam Deck in gaming mode, it loads a big picture inside the game scope session, and I thought maybe somehow that is interfering with Mango Hut or something, or the performance overlay is crashing because it's running inside of game scope. I don't know, so I thought, let's try in desktop mode. Just gonna copy this over from the other game. Baldur's Gate. I did verify game files just in case you were wondering. I also moved the game from the SD card to the internal drive, and that didn't really change anything other than slightly less stutters. We're still running Steam Linux Runtime 3.0 Sniper. This time we're in desktop mode. And we're trying to get the performance overlay to appear. Oh look, it crashed. That's not good, is it? Let's try again. As it turns out, adding Mango Hut command to the game completely crashes it when you try to launch. Okay, then what other performance monitoring tools are there for Linux games? Well, there is this there's the new overlay performance monitor by Steam, and I thought maybe that could work. And And yeah, it does. Let me show you. In another game though. So this is the Steam performance overlay thing. It shows FPS, CPU utilization, CPU clock, GPU usage, and the rest is actually cut off because the Steam Deck is such a small resolution display. So it works in this game, but will it work in Baldur's Gate 3? That's the big question. Okay. So no, it does not. It doesn't even appear actually. So for some reason the game does not allow any external overlay monitoring tools. So you can't even measure the performance of this port. I got that input issue again. Ugh. So that's kind of a bummer. And where's my start menu? Oh. Actually that thing is called Application Launcher. If you look at the overview of the system and application crashes, we can see Baldur's Gate 3, Baldur's Gate 3, GameScope, Mango app, tons of Mango app. This is the same as Mango app, by the way, just inside of GameScope. And these crashes up to here, they are all from today when I tried to get the native port working. SteamOS Helper also crashed, but yeah. That's where it starts, 653 CEST, and goes all the way up to here. That was when I tried to launch Baldur's Gate 3 with the Mango Hut command. Launch option. And that makes it crash. And trying to attach a performance overlay in game mode crashes Mango Hut instead. So yeah. Here they have a little explainer. What's the difference between the Steam Deck native and Proton version? Our Proton version runs on the Steam Deck via the Proton compatibility layer, which requires extra CPU processing power. Running the game natively on the Steam Deck requires less CPU usage and memory consumption overall. I think that makes sense to some degree because when you run the game natively, it doesn't need all those extra wine processes and stuff. But my experience with native ports overall, native Linux has been very bad. They tend to be very unstable and have so many issues that the Proton version never has, at least in my experience. Your experience may be different. Yeah, I think this is a really poor port. Not to mention that there was an issue initially when there was an issue initially because they flagged the port as Steam Deck only. They flagged the port as Steam Deck only, like the depot. And that caused an issue for everyone who was not on Steam Deck, because they ended up with an empty download, because the game automatically switched itself back to the native version from Proton. And then, because it thought, oh, this is a nice new native Linux, and we'll use that, but because the files themselves were only flagged for the Steam Deck, it just ended up downloading nothing. And that broke a lot of people's games, because they thought, oh, this is a nice new update, let's download that, and their game just uninstalled itself. So, yeah, that was a pretty significant issue with this port. But they fixed it a few hours after this article came out. They removed the Steam Deck flags from all their depots, and it should now download normally and update normally on desktop Linux. But still, that was pretty jarring issue that definitely shouldn't have occurred. And the Mangohot issue also should have been caught prior to release. Like, I'm not sure what went wrong there, to be honest. It doesn't make sense that you make a port for only a single hardware and software target, and then it doesn't even run properly on that. Like, I understand the issue with PC ports is that you have a ton of hardware to target, and so it's difficult for developers to optimize. Yeah, I think Mangohot crashed again. It's difficult to optimize because you have so many variations in hardware and software. But when you have only one fixed target, like with consoles, which is what the Steam Deck is trying to be, then it shouldn't really be that difficult to make a port targeted for only one specific hardware type. So yeah. Let me just switch to the Proton version and restart the Steam Deck to fix the Mangohot crashing. One thing which is nice about this is that the switch from native to the Proton version is very quick, because it's only a couple of files that need to be changed. Alright, let me restart. Restart. Then we'll try the Proton version again. I'm just trying to skip the Steam Deck boot up animation because it's always so loud. Okay, let's try the Proton version instead, shall we? Oh, by the way, Baldur's Gate 3 is also Steam Deck verified, which should indicate that it works flawlessly on Steam Deck. But that is not really my experience with the native version, at least. And we have Mango Hut back. We can also expand it to full. Expand to full. So we can see utilization on the individual cores, or more like threads. Don't have any TDP limits or manual GPU clocks, by the way. So this is the Proton version, and here I can get into the game with my DualShock. There's no issue with recognizing my gamepad, like there is in the native version apparently. Let's just hit continue. And we're in the game. This is using 720p, 60 Hz, FSR2. I think it was on quality. And the rest of the settings I think are just the Steam Deck default. I haven't gotten to the later acts. I'm still in Act 1. So I heard that Act 3, for example, is performing rather poorly because there's so much CPU utilization, and the Steam Deck CPU only has 4 cores, 8 threads, and only runs at 3.5 GHz. So yeah, it would make sense that it wasn't performing optimally. At least they were trying to remedy that in native version. But so far it's really next to impossible to evaluate the performance of the native port versus Proton, because the performance overlay doesn't even appear. And yeah, I think the Proton version is playable, but there's definitely an issue with a lot of CPU utilization. Like in my case, you can see Core 2 is getting pinned 100%. Yeah, now we're below 30 FPS for a brief second, 27 FPS, 28. I think when you zoom out the performance, yeah, now we're at 23 FPS. Wow. It feels really laggy. Oh my god, what the hell is happening? I can see the ghosting on the stereo, like when he's walking. Yeah, I think CPU utilization could be a little bit low, like there's around 75%, and now we're at one point we were 88%, so it's like around 70 and 80% utilization on the CPU, which is pretty high. And over at 90%. Oh my god. This game is pretty CPU demanding. 93%. And this is only Act 1, mind you. We haven't even got to the city of Baldur's Gate. There's some instances where the performance is better, like just now we're at 45, now we're back to 28. So it's a bit variable overall. I would say this is... Let me through. I would say this is playable, but I wouldn't want to play it on any display that is larger than the Steam Deck's built-in one, because on a larger display you really start to notice the ghosting on the characters when they're moving, and I think there might also be some slight overhead involved from the upscaling with game scope, so native resolution is probably a bit better. And also at the small resolution of the Steam Deck screen, ow, that hurt. It's probably harder to spot those artifacts from appearing. So yeah. I think as of now, you should probably avoid the native version until they patch it. Even though the performance might be better, which we cannot verify at the moment. It's really not as stable as Proton, and that has been my general experience with so many native Linux ports. So many of them were utterly broken, and Proton was almost always the better experience, which is ironic considering it's not even optimized for the platform itself. It's running through a compatibility layer. So yeah. Overall this port is pretty disappointing, to say the least. I didn't see any obvious hitching or stutters. Just now when running it through Proton. As of now, I think the only way we can compare the performance of the two versions. It's like seeing if you can spot any stutters or something. But that's not really very reliable. Getting that input overlay issue again. Like, why does that even happen? I don't understand why that is happening. Oh no, what the hell? Oh, come on. I think the Steam Deck just crashed. This is exhausting. It's so frustrating when you can't get things working like they should. When I tried Baldur's Gate 3 for the first time native on the Steam Deck, I tried going to the desktop mode and nothing was working. I didn't even have like a desktop, it was just a wallpaper. So like the entire desktop session had somehow crashed, and leaving with only a wallpaper. I think that's might have to do with Mango Hearts crashing. I'm really not sure. They really need to fix this port because it's The Steam Deck is restarting. Really? I've honestly had better luck getting this port to run on non-Steam Decks. Like, I got ROG LIX, which I put Passite on, which is like SteamOS, but for more devices. And there is actually running flawlessly. The Mango Heart is not crashing. So the performance overlay works on it. And, yeah. Someone told me that the overlay crashing has actually been fixed in a newer version of Mesa, but the problem is that SteamOS ships such an ancient version of Mesa. If you go to settings, system, Video card, video driver, AMD Radri 24299. It's not up to date enough to have to fix for megawatt crashing. And that's probably one of the reasons why it works better in Bazzite, because Bazzite ships more up to date Mesa. Like already has Mesa 25 Mesa 25.2.1, I think. So yeah. Oh, I switched to mouse and keyboard for some... What the hell is even happening? Okay. I thought keyboard and mouse didn't even work on the Steam Deck because for some reason they prohibited it to when you launch the game with Steam Deck equals 1, which the Steam Deck is supposed to launch all games with this launch option, and it's intended to give like developers a way of making settings specific for the Steam Deck in their games without affecting all of the PC landscape. Why is it even showing PlayStation icons right now? That's so weird. My PlayStation controller doesn't even work in this game and they're showing PS icons. What the heck? There's a treasure chest that I have already found. Dead assassin. So yeah, I'm not sure about the performance. I can still see the ghosting on Asterion. Or Asterion, whatever his name is pronounced. No clue. There's still a fizzling and graininess to the image, which is kind of expected with such low resolution and bad upscaler and so on. Yeah, there was a bit of stuttering there. Nothing to loot. So, yeah, I'm not very satisfied with this port. I would have expected Larian to do better, actually. Because the PC port of Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty nice. Oh, there was a lot of stuttering there. Did you see that? Wow. I really would have expected them to do better. It feels like it's constantly rubber banding now or something. Ugh, wow, okay. Apparently this port was made by someone at Larian who started working in a on a Steam Deck build in their own time. And now it's smooth again for some reason. Like after work hours, and because he was unsatisfied with the performance of Baldur's Gate 3 on the Steam Deck, and so he decided to make his own native version for it, and apparently everyone at Larian found that good, and now they pushed out a fix, pushed it out to everyone, but it's clearly not ready yet for prime time. We have to wait for a fix from Larian until we can properly evaluate the performance of this port. Honestly, I think it would have been a better idea to concentrate on the Windows, aka Proton version, and try to make that better. Because that would have benefited everyone, not just Steam Deck people and by extension Linux people. because if it works better in Windows, it will work better in Linux too, automatically, because of Proton, and because Proton is so awesome. And if you look at some of the benchmarks of the same hardware, like on the Legion OS, which was shipped with both Windows and SteamOS, there's just no comparison. Like, remember those headlines? SteamOS destroys Windows? Apparently Windows is so bloated that despite running a compatibility layer with presumably some overhead, it still runs better than native. That's just wild. Wow. Yeah, I think I might make another video once the issues with this port are fixed. But for now it's just a mess. I don't recommend using it on the Steam Deck. It might work on other Linux PCs, but for the Steam Deck specifically, it's a nope. Okay, I think that's all for now. Thank you guys for watching, and meet me in the comments. Tell me what you think about the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.